Alrighty. Greetings and welcome to the VIOC In Action. Today, we have a great informational show. And for those of you who are into sports, we want to welcome you for joining us here on the VIOC In Action, where you can learn everything about the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. You know, and if you have questions, you can definitely get them to us and we'll get them to you. But just let me open the show with information. If you want to contact the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee during working hours, of course, you can give us a call at 340-719-8462. 340-719-8462. You want to send us an email? Hey, send it to NOC@VirginIslandsOlympics.org. NOC@VirginIslandsOlympics.org. You want to check out our website? You can go to www.virginislandsolympics.org. Making sure I get that S in there for you. If you're on Facebook, you can always go to www.facebook.com/Virgin Islands Olympics. And if you're in the Twitterverse, you can check us out at Team ISV. That's right, Team ISV. For those of you that were not tuned into a couple of the earlier shows, it's not Team VI, it's Team ISV. And a couple tidbits of information I want to pass on to you. One, it's pretty much a profile. You know, as mentioned in one of the earlier shows, we listed for you the leadership for the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. As you know, our president is Mr. Angel Chico Morales. Our Secretary General is Miss Lynn Reed. Our treasurer, Mr. Joseph Bushelty. And then we have two vice presidents. And the vice president for St. Thomas St. John is Anson Sliger. Now, vice president for St. Croix is John Abramson Jr. And the tidbit I want to give you today is our profile, little bio on Mr. Abramson himself. So John Abramson Jr., the vice president for St. Croix, has had several positions in the executive, legislative, and the legislative branch of government in the Virgin Islands. Presently, he's a retiree, but of course he was the supervisor of elections. He also saw, many positions. He was formerly the territorial energy director and the chief of staff for Senators Alicia Torres James, Adelbert M. Bryan, and Judy Gomez. Of course, he was also a consultant to the office of Judy M. Gomez and elected to serve on the 10th Board of Education, as well as significant experience in the private sector with the Private Industry Council, Energy Resources International Incorporated, Virgin Islands Tea Company Incorporated. In addition to his 26 years of public/private service, he has been active in numerous community organizations such as the Research, Conservation and Development Council, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Virgin Islands Tourism Awareness Link, Virgin Islands Basketball Federation, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, National Highway Safety Advisory Board, the National Association of Parliamentarians, and the National Association of Public Administrators. Member of the Board of Directors for the Girl Scout Council of the Virgin Islands, and part-time professor of Economics and Social Science at the University of the Virgin Islands. He's also a member of the Government Health Insurance Board of Directors and member of Rotary West of St. Croix, president of the Frederiksted Economic Association, just to name a few. And in this term, this is his cycle where he serves for the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee as the chef d'affaires. And the chef d'affaires is the man in charge pretty much when it comes to the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, when they are out and involved. Mr. Abramson is the chef d'affaires, many meetings to put things in order, make sure that the athletes are comfortable and they receive the same treatment, accommodations. They're well versed on the rules. All that information he has to gather for Team ISV. What I want to do for you now is I had an opportunity to sit and had a phone conversation with one of the coaches that is a part of Team ISV. So let's get into that now, and we'll listen to that for the next about 40 minutes or so. So it's an interview with one of our coaches, Adrian Durant, who deals with our track and field.
Alrighty, now we have online with us Coach Adrian Durant here on the VIOC In Action show. Welcome, Coach. How are you?
Hello. Not bad. How about yourself?
I'm good. And for those of our listeners who may not know much about Coach Adrian Durant, you could just give them a little bit of information about your involvement with the VIOC.
Well, I've been involved with the VIOC for a while. I came up as an athlete with the Virgin Islands Track and Field Federation. I ran as a youth and at the Clifton Games and different championships like that. And then eventually I ran with the senior team. Competed at the Central American and Caribbean Games, the Pan American Games, and then eventually the Olympics in 2004. And now that I'm a coach, I'm a coach for the national track and field team.
So now, being a coach for the national track and field team, it doesn't end there for you, as you also coach elsewhere. Let the listeners know where you coach when you're not coaching for Team ISV.
Yes, well, right now I'm the head men's track and field and cross-country coach at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. I was the sprint coach there for the men and women for 3 years, and just this past summer I was named the head coach.
That's awesome. At Cornell University, so how are things going there for you? How's your team looking? I know they're probably just getting ready for their season, which should begin, I guess, when all that snow melts up there.
Things are going well. We're at about the midway point for our indoor season. Our conference championship is going to be at the end of February. And so far, they're doing well. I'm actually in State College, Pennsylvania right now at Penn State. I have some guys competing here. And today I had an athlete compete in the multi-event. And he, so far, his score is going really well. If he continues on the pace that he's on, he has 3 more events left tomorrow: the 60-meter hurdles, the 1,000 meters, and the I got lost there.
But I can imagine. I can imagine it's pretty tough keeping track of all of your athletes in at Cornell and on Team ISG. So now, what's like the major difference when it comes to coaching a college squad and a national team?
Well, with the national team, you're not really, each of those athletes are training in their separate places with their own coaches. Some of them are still athletes in college, so they're training in their college teams, while others are professionals, so they're training with their pro coach. So when you're a coach of a national team, you're mainly responsible for just making sure the athletes' needs are met when you're at a competition. So making sure that they are entered in their events, making sure that they have everything that they need, making sure that they're able to train adequately in preparation for the event while they're at the venue. Pretty much just making sure that they have everything they need in order to be able to compete well. So that's very different from what I have to do on a daily basis as a head coach men on my roster at Cornell, which is why sometimes it's hard to remember. Yes, 85 men, and that's through all the event groups. So the throws, the jumps, distance, mid-distance, cross-country guys, and the sprints and hurdles. So quite a few guys keep track of.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a small nation you have right there to keep track of.
Yeah, we're one of the biggest teams in the country. So, as far as that's concerned, I'm responsible for making sure that these kids are, they're in their classes, they're passing their classes, that, they have everything they need to be able to practice and compete for Cornell. I'm responsible for their well-being and their development in this stage in their lives. So it's a lot, but we have a lot of guys, but we also have a very good staff of coaches. I have assistant coaches responsible for different event areas, a distance coach, a throws coach, and a jumps coach. And we also work very closely with the women's staff, the women's head coach and the women's associate head coach. So we have a little team out here of coaches that that we work together very well to make sure the athletes are taken care of.
So now, besides being a member of Team ISV, what is your tie to the Virgin Islands? Are you from the Virgin Islands?
I'm from St. Croix, yes. I was born on St. Croix. I grew up there. I went to St. Mary's when I was younger. And I didn't move off the island until I was about 13 years old. After I went to high school in New Jersey. My mom decided I should go to Jersey, live with some family, and go to school up there. So that's what I ended up doing.
Excellent. And what we try to do here on VIOC in Action is pretty much to inform the people about all the many aspects of being involved with the Olympic Committee. So in one individual, in Adrian Durant, we find a Virgin Islander who grew up on St. Croix, made his way to the States, and then ran for Team VI, and now he's coaching Team VI, and then he's coaching at Cornell. So that's a microcosm of all the possibilities, of one individual right there with VIOC. Mm-hmm. And it's much more, and we're going to take this time and kind of inform people as far as all the different aspects. So now, let's take, for example, you have an event, you have to go with Team VI to whatever location, and how do you go about organizing? Is most of it done for you in advance, or there are meetings or seminars or online stuff you have to do in preparation for these games, for any games?
Well, I work very closely with Wallace Williams. He's the General Secretary of the Virgin Islands Track and Field Federation, and he deals directly with the Olympic Committee. We receive a lot of support from the Olympic Committee. A lot of the things that we do, we wouldn't be able to do without the Olympic Committee supporting us. So I work with Wallace. We have athletes who are registered with the federation, and so we have athletes who qualify for certain events such as the World Championships or the Pan Am Games and whatnot. Those athletes, once they're officially registered and they've qualified, they'll contact Wallace and the rest of us, and we make sure that they have their travel plans out, what they're doing when they're doing it. So we all coordinate to make sure the athletes get to the competitions and are able to compete. And I'll deal directly with Wallace on that. And also, some of these athletes are receiving support from the federation through a training grant that they are provided through the Olympic Committee. So there's a lot of coordinating going on and a lot of communication. And that's pretty much the only way you can do it when you have athletes and coaches and officials who are all over the place. We have people in Florida and Texas and back home on St. Croix, St. Thomas. So we have people all over the place, and so there's a lot of communicating going on.
right? And with the communication, it stays on that, that level with the coaches and the federation and stuff. Are you aware of, I'll definitely have an opportunity later to speak with some of the federation members that spend a lot of time in the VI. We want to have an opportunity where we're going to speak with all the presidents of the various federations. But do you have any idea how one young child may be watching an event and they see, Leslie, just crushing the hurdles and saying, man, I want to do that. This 12-year-old saying, I want to be just like Leslie Murray. I want to be able to just be the fastest man on the track. How can we get the younger generation nowadays to keep them involved, keep them interested in track and field? Because it's seasonal when it comes to the track and field events, unlike the big major three that are always in your face, like whether it be the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball. They're big time. They're out there. But, you have people like Usain Bolt, who's world class, who's almost a household name. How can we get to inspire young Virgin Islanders who are interested in track and field to continue on and go through the process? Be like you. Get involved in the youth games and grow throughout.
Well, it starts definitely with, it's kind of the scenario you mentioned. As a kid, you just kind of see it and have some goals. Say, hey, I want to be the fastest person in the VI. So it definitely starts out with that type of ambition. And to do that, you have to be, I believe, actively participating in the sport. A lot of kids, they come up and they're playing those other sports that you mentioned. I think you just have to give track a try. That's what we did. I came up, I was playing flag football, I was playing soccer, I was playing basketball, I was playing all these different sports, and track was the one that spoke to me. It was the one that I stuck with. And eventually it allowed me to experience different things. I ran track in high school, and I ended up being very successful at it. I ended up at some point getting a scholarship to college because of track, a full scholarship to the University of South Carolina. And then even afterwards, I was able to continue running with the support from the VIOC. And I even got to the point where I've raced against Usain Bolt a couple times.
Okay.
So I think it just starts out with, as a child, just doing different sports, being very active, and trying to, with your parents, of course, getting you involved with all these different things. And at some point, you'll decide which sport you really want to stick with, and which one you'll excel at, and which ones will provide you with opportunities. I know we have kids right now who are coming up who are running, I believe Malik Smith, he's running now in college. He's a young man who was competing in the Virgin Islands just recently. And we have a few others. And there are also a few kids who live in the States who have Virgin Islands ties who are looking forward to competing for the Virgin Islands. But it definitely starts out with the ambition, just playing the different sports and saying, hey, I like doing this. I wanna go to the Olympics someday. That was my dream. I believe my mom still has a newspaper article where, from the Daily News way back in the day, where I was interviewed for something, a medal at some youth championship or whatever the case may be. And I said that one day I want to compete in the Olympics. And that's so, that's the thing later. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, 15 years later, it happened. So it's about setting those goals and sticking with it and seeing where these things can take you, these different sports. Because sports can take you someplace, but you still have to have the ambition, the drive, the dedication. And, it's not just the child's ambition, but I remember, when I was growing up, I never missed track practice. My mom always made sure I was at track practice. She made sure I always was at soccer practice. And that's where it really starts. It is a commitment.
It definitely is a commitment. But what is key that I got from that is that it's real, it's attainable to it should be encouraged that the youngsters out there actually dream and believe in tomorrow. You kind of have a sense where sometimes in the community that there seems to not even be a thought about tomorrow. Everyone lives for today. But, the dream of looking down the road, if not 4 years, 8 years, maybe even more, but still putting in the work, like you said, 15 years, you work to get there. And, there were a lot of successes in between, I'm sure. Maybe a few failures, but it's like you said, it's the ambition and knowing what your goals are and that resilience to fight is what will keep you in the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a thing that I talk to my athletes about all the time in my team meetings. I personally believe anything's possible. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe. Not everyone's going to believe with you. Some people might say, oh, that dream is impossible, but it doesn't matter. You have to believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, then you'll continue working towards that goal. And it's possible. You keep on getting closer and closer and closer. I also think that you have to dream big. When I said I was going to walk on, because initially I didn't have a scholarship at South Carolina. I had to walk on, essentially try out for the team. So I said, okay, I'm going to try out for this team, and that's one of the best teams in the country, and get a scholarship. That's not going to happen. That's crazy. Well, I did it, and it happened. Well, I'm going to compete in the Olympics. The Olympics, well, that's not possible, and it happened. So I don't really believe in listening to the naysayers when it comes to those things. If you have a dream, you go after it. And if you fight hard enough and work hard enough and you stick to it and you stay consistent, then you can make anything happen. The same is true right now. I'm probably the youngest head coach, D1 head coach in the country. And who would have thought that would have happened as quickly as it did? But, you dream big, you set big goals and you go after it. And it's possible if you believe. Another thing I also talk to my athletes about, when all of this stuff, and this is not just with sports, but anything in life, I say, if it's to be, and they say it's up to me. And that's pretty much the philosophy. If anything's going to happen, it's going to be up to you to make it happen.
Absolutely.
If it's to be, it's up to me.
Absolutely. There might be some youngsters that are just ready to give up. And hearing these words, man, I got to go out and put in some work,
Yeah. And yes, they need to put in work, they need to stick with it, and hopefully somebody around them, someone around them believes in them and supports them. Because you can't, it is up to you, but everyone needs help.
Absolutely, everyone needs help, and that's why the federations are there. And, it's different levels. It starts from you, the individual, then it goes to your direct team, and then you have, the school organization. It grows into island-wide, then you have the federation, which is territory-wide, and then from there you're exposed to pretty much the globe, because I'm sure you've done some travels. Where has track and field taken you so far?
I can't even name all the places, really. Yeah, I've probably been to 30 plus countries. I think sometimes there's a misconception, especially locally. When we talk about the Track and Field Federation or other federations, the Olympic Committee, I think people sometimes don't really understand what these organizations do, and how difficult it is to do what they do. And, how much money some of this stuff costs. I'm in charge of 85 guys, and I can tell you, people will say, oh, well, it's an Ivy League school. You have plenty of money. Well, 85 is a big number. If you ever bought 85 pairs of training sneakers, then you would, it's a big number. It's expensive. If you have to fly somewhere and you're talking about buying 85 plane tickets, that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So anytime we have a team, if we have kids in the Track and Field Federation who are on training grants, receiving a monthly stipend, or when they have to travel to, the world champions, or, go to England or go to Spain or whatever the case may be, that stuff is expensive and it's difficult.
It definitely is a high cost of that.
It is. So I think sometimes, people don't realize that stuff, when they're saying, oh, well, the Olympic Committee needs to do this, or the Track and Field Federation needs to do this, or whatever federation needs to do this. I mean, this stuff is not easy, the money doesn't come from just nowhere. People are trying. But no, track has definitely allowed me to go all over the world, and I'm appreciative for that. It's one of the things that, I like to travel. I like to see different cultures and experience different cultures and different places and meet people from, different places and learn new things. So that's one of the reasons that I really stuck with track as an adult while I was still competing. Track is not the highest paying sport out of all other sports, but I believe it's one of the sports where you get to travel the most. And so I personally, that was for me. But yeah, no, I've been all over the place.
So I can imagine you have friends pretty much around the globe, and I'm sure those are smartphone applications like WhatsApp. They are very valuable nowadays, being able to communicate with your friends around the globe.
Oh yeah, the world has definitely gotten smaller because of technology. You could have friends everywhere. You can always contact people. Social media means that everyone's just a button click away, So I definitely have encountered people everywhere, and I can stay in touch because of those things that you mentioned, like WhatsApp. The world has gotten a lot smaller. It's incredible.
And you mentioned the hard work of the people all around that's involved, especially if we're talking about the Olympic Committee, President Angel Chico Morales.
Yeah.
He is constantly on the move, keeping relations alive. And a lot of people don't realize how valuable it is in the Olympic community to keep those relations alive,
They don't, and that's why I mentioned that, because, I think it's easy to be negative. It's easy to criticize when you don't really know the inner workings of certain things. And I think I'm in a position to speak on it, having come through this system as a youth, all the way through now as an adult, now as a coach. And I know the kind of support that's out there for our young athletes in the Virgin Islands. And I know that there are people who are trying and who are paying attention, people who are watching these performances and saying, okay, this athlete, Alison Peter, we have to make sure she has an opportunity to run at the World Championship. We need to get her there. Laverne Jones, I'm sure Laverne Jones would have a lot of things to say about the support she's received from the Track and Field Federation and from the Olympic Committee. Same with Tamari Henry. The Olympic Committee has allowed these individuals to have good, prosperous careers where they're able to represent the Virgin Islands on the international stage. The Olympic Committee has facilitated that in many ways.
Yep. All right, we are here talking with Coach Adrian Durant. He is coach for Team ISD for the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. We have to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. Coach, hang on one quick second. We take this break. back from our break, and we have with us on the line coach for Team ISV Track and Field, Coach Adrian Durant. Coach, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, it's 2016. It is an Olympic year. Most people think of it as a leap year. That's not what's in our head. Of course, in VIOC and here on VIOC in Action, it's all about getting everyone prepared for Rio in August.
That's right.
How many athletes do we have still that are out there putting in the work, still attending events, trying to get qualified to make it down to Brazil?
We have quite a few. I know, as you mentioned, Leslie Murray, he's training hard in Virginia right now. Bobbie Henry, he's also training to qualify for the games. I just recently saw Eddie Lovett, who he's going to be able to compete in the hurdles at the games. He already started his indoor season, and that's going very well for him. He's actually training in Pennsylvania now, up here at Penn State. So it's a track that we frequent. Being in upstate New York, we come over here to Penn State pretty often. They have a very fast track, so I've seen Eddie competing, and he's doing well. Laverne Jones, she's also competing. Leon Hunt, he's down there in St. Thomas right now training. I've seen his face pop up in the papers a couple times, so he's doing some things down there locally. We have Muhammad Halim, who he actually was a Cornell graduate, and he has a pretty good job right now with I don't want to misquote it. It's either Ramada or Marriott. I hope he doesn't get upset about that. But I know that they've allowed him to take some time off of work to train for the Olympics. So
that is very valuable, having that support from your employers.
Oh yeah. So we have people who are hard at work. I mean, it's a big deal, the Olympics. Being able to represent your country is a big deal. And, in addition to representing yourself and your coach and your family, you're representing your country. And as athletes, that is the pinnacle of what we do. Being able to go out there in the world stage and show how hard we've worked.
Now, I know
right?
This show is all about Team ISV, but let me ask you, do you have any athletes in your roster that is trying to get onto Team USA for Brazil?
Well, not Team USA, actually, but we have an alum. His name is Stephen Mosier. He was one of my captains last year. He's a shot putter and a discus thrower, and he competes for the Nigerian team. He actually just recently threw 21 meters in the shot put, which is the furthest throw in the world. So he'll be competing for Nigeria at the Olympics. And also a young man who I trained, Bruno Hordelano Roig. He is from Spain. He's the fastest man in Spain. He has the Spanish national record in the 300, the 200-meter indoor, and soon the 60 meters. He just opened up his first 60-meter dash of the year with a very fast time that should qualify him for the World Championship. So unless something goes horribly wrong, he'll be competing for Spain at the Olympics. And we have some other kids who make national teams as well. And we have an alum who's trying to make the USA team. He's a high jumper, 7'5" high jumper named Montez Blair. So we do have a couple kids who are either currently at Cornell or who are recent alums who are training to make their national teams.
That's awesome. Yep. And it's I'm thinking, just in my head I'm saying, well, Cornell is filled with just U.S. national athletes, but then, you go mentioning guys from Nigeria who'll be on Team Nigeria and Team...
Oh, yeah, no, we have kids from all over. Oh, yeah, we have kids from everywhere. We have kids from literally everywhere. That's the type of school we are. It's an Ivy League, but it's the most diverse Ivy. So, we have kids from Nigeria, from Ghana, from, like I mentioned, Spain, from everywhere, really.
That's awesome. You know, it's you see, it's out there, and that's what we want to pass on to the listeners, especially the younger ones, that, you know, remain in athletics, work hard. You might end up at Cornell. Who knows? You know,
absolutely.
At Cornell.
Absolutely. I mean, it's you know, it's more possible than I think people realize.
Exactly.
You know, if you're training hard, you're working hard, if you excel at your sport, and if you just have the academic credentials, you know, you want to have a 3.5 GPA or higher, but you want to take, you know, rigorous courses if you can, AP courses, honors courses, courses like calculus, chemistry, physics. Those are always good ones. And the most important thing is it's really not the most important thing, but it plays a major part in the admissions process, and that's your standardized test, SATs, ACTs. You know, SAT prep, I never knew how important it was when I was in high school, but SAT prep is a big deal. If you can get to the point where you can get about an 1,800, you know, 600 per section on your SAT, and you're coming from the Virgin Islands, and you have a 3.5 GPA, then you have a very good chance of getting into an Ivy League school.
Getting in with scholarships?
Right. There are no scholarships in the Ivy League, but what they have is need-based aid. So it's all based off of your household income. So, you know, they have this whole complicated financial aid formula. But essentially, if your household income is, say, $60,000 or under, you wouldn't have to pay anything to go to Cornell or Harvard or Princeton or any of the other Ivies. Essentially, it's around there. They have their different thresholds, but for Cornell, it's $60,000. Under that, you're not paying anything. Over that, it depends. So it's $65,000 a year to go to Cornell. Big number. Right. But the only people who are paying that are families who are making, you know, $200,000 and more. If you're making the household income is $80,000, then you're not going to pay that much. I mean, I couldn't tell you an exact amount. They take a lot of factors into consideration, how many kids there are, and yada, 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 real estate. But at the end of the day, you know, you could see yourself paying $5,000 a year to go to an Ivy League school.
Right. And one of the things that I know that the schools want, they don't want the 100% bookworm. They want you, of course, to, you know, hit those grades, hit them hard, and hit them high. But they also want you to be well-rounded. They want you to be a track athlete. They want you to be rowing or baseball or something.
No, they want you to be well-rounded, and they also don't want clones of the same person. I mean, it would be very easy to fill up a freshman class with kids who have 4.5 GPAs and perfect SAT scores. You know, they'll have 40,000 kids with those type of stats who apply every year. But they don't want that kid. They don't want all of that kid. They want the kid from, you know, St. Croix who, you know, he grew up in this type of situation. You know, he you know, they want to see some different types of backgrounds.
Right.
You know, they don't want just the same carbon copy, which is why I said, you know, if you're coming out of the Virgin Islands and you have an 1,800 or higher SAT, I think personally you have a very good shot over the kid with the, you know, the perfect SAT who's coming from a, you know, a wealthy family. They've been taking SAT prep their whole life and yada, yada, yada. You know, they try to make the class a little more diverse.
So we know now, clearly, how to get into Cornell. How could a young man who thinks he's ready and he has the ability, how can they get on Team ISV and run for Coach Durant?
But to get on the Virgin Islands team, you know, they're different. We have different levels. You know, they're the age group. We have kids who are very active in the youth area. Kids who are running for coaches Keith Smith down there and Charles Goffin and the other coaches in the Virgin Islands. There's a lot of those kids who are running, who get to compete at youth championships and Carifta championships and whatnot. If you want to get to the point where you can make it to, say, the world championships, well, then you just have to stick with it. You know, you have to run through elementary school and run in high school and run in college. You just have to stick with it and continue to perform. if you continue to perform, then it's going to be pretty easy to make the team. I mean, we pay attention. We're looking for the kids who are high level performers who want to represent the VI. So really, it's just about working hard and essentially running fast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it's all there. So now, Coach, you got to spread the word to all the listeners, all the track athletes that are trying to get on Team ISV that they need to tune in and listen to VIOC in action. You know, of course, they can always get some information from our website and our social media site. So we can always send them to www.violympics.org. From there, they'll be led in every direction possible to get in contact with the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee and find out about any federation they want. Coach, we want to thank you so much for calling in and giving us this great information. I think we might have to call you back because I'm sure your years of experience, you can fill up an entire hour just by yourself.
Yeah, I could talk for a while. I mean, I appreciate you having me. And you know, this is part of my mission now is to share this information. You know, I came down to St. Croix in December, and I just tried to get as much information out there as possible. Hopefully some people got some of it, and hopefully a lot more will hear this and get some more information. But, you know, I just want to get as much information out as possible because, you know, I look back and although my path, ended up good for me, I wish I would have known that I could have gone to an Ivy League school and run fast and gotten a great education. And, you know, some of these kids I have kids who are graduating and their first job out of Cornell, they're making, you know, $80,000, $90,000. You know, it's big time jobs because they're leaving the Ivy League school. And more people need to know about that stuff. So,
right.
You know, anytime you want to have me, I'll be happy to talk more and more about this and try to reach more people and get more information out there. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Coach Adrian Durant for Team ISV. And also, as you've heard, he's coaching at Cornell University. Thanks again, Coach.
Thank you.
All righty.
Educational Complex Marching Band will have a car wash on Saturday, January 30th, 2016 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the St. Croix Educational Complex High School.
So I could bring my car, my truck, my SUV, or even my company's fleet of 10 vehicles?
Yep, even your company's fleet of 10 vehicles. Then you can sit back in the shade and enjoy some food and drinks that will be on sale. You can get the outside and inside clean.
Oh yeah? So that's Saturday, January 30th at the St. Croix Educational Complex High School, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Proceeds will benefit students' trip to perform in Disney World of May 2016. You can show your support by purchasing car wash tickets from any member of the marching band or band boosters, or just bring your vehicle.
At Champion Feed and Supply, they know your pet's language. That's a Popeland Sport and Puppy last week. Yeah, that little fellow of yours growing fast. You're welcome. That's one grow and one layer. You folks making plans? You're always in a rush. Hey, what's up? Yeah, we have alfalfa cubes, oats, and race ready. What you gonna do? Yeah, right. Champion Feed and Supply. 777-7749. They know your pet's language. Of course we have cockatoo feed.
Looking for a comfortable and convenient place to stay in the heart of Crispinstead, where you're steps away from great restaurants, shopping, nightlife, and more? Come Company House Hotel on Company Street, Christiansted, St. Croix. Choose from the superior to the deluxe, the Danish room, or one of the exquisite suites. Comfort and convenience in the heart of Christiansted. Company House Hotel, your oasis in the middle of town. Make your reservations today. Call 340-773-1377.
This is Mr. One Time for the One Time, Leon Hunt, long jump record holder for Team VI. Thank you for logging on to VIOC In Action.
This is Dr. Jerry Smith, physical therapist with the VI Olympic Committee. To unleash the elite athlete in you, the key ingredients are good nutrition, hard work, and dedication. Give yourself what you need to get in and stay in the game. Tune into VIOC In Action for tips and fun activities to unleash the elite athlete in you.
This is your high hurdle specialist, Eddie Lovett, for Team VI, and you're tuned in to VIOC In Action.
Alrighty, welcome back to VIOC In Action. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview we had there with Coach Adrian Durant for Team ISV Track. And now is the time we have, all of our athletes for the Track Federation are competing all across the U.S. and all across the globe, trying to qualify to head on down to Rio for the Olympics. For those of you who have been sleeping, 2016 is, of course, an Olympic year, and we're trying to get a big contingent to go down to Rio and possibly bring home a medal or two. One of the athletes in the Track and Field Association who is doing hard work and did a portion of his time here is Leon Hunt. As you know, we call him Bookie. Leon Bookie Hunt is from Castle Coakley, St. Croix, and is a captain and long jump record holder for the VI Track and Field team. Leon received his BS in Business Administration from FAMU, Florida A&M University, and MBA in Marketing from Strayer in 2014. He started representing Team ISV back in 2008, and since then he's competed in track meets all over the world. He won a gold at the Central American and Caribbean University Games in Honduras in the long jump. Of course, his dream is to compete in the Olympics, and we hope he gets it done this year in Rio, And, Leon, as we ask all athletes to do, just give us a couple of pointers for athletes. And a couple of reasons that he decided to come to the VI to train. He was training on St. Thomas, to have the nice track out at Eudora Ken. He said the weather is typically in the mid-80s, pretty much what he should experience in Rio. He says he loves the food, the natural produce, and then he's going to enjoy the Caribbean cooking, of course. He's access to coconut water, cane juice, the kind of stuff. He's a real naturalist. That's what he wants to keep his hands on, So if you want to read more about Leon, check out the VI Virgin Islands Olympics.org and look for our newsletter. You can get that information there on Leon and many others. Don't forget, though, it is easy to stay in contact with the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee. You can give us a call at 340-719-8462. NOC at VirginIslandsOlympics.org or go to the website, VirginIslandsOlympic.org. So before we go, let me hit you with this. We get out of here.
This is Angel Chico Morales, President of the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, thanking you for joining us on VIOC in Action.
Alrighty, that's the boss man himself. So until next show, this has been Neil Bobbie Thomas signing out for VIOC in Action.